Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Ever seen two top show cars on track at the same time? Well, you will now.
How long is twin turbo?
No anymore, not twin turbo.
Four-door Fredo has made way for Osmonds, the trophy-winning WRX STI. In fact, along with the king of auto salon crown, thankfully to cover his matching green hair, Zahir and Bashir have picked up quite a few trophies over the past few years. Rather than take the WRX to the jungle, the Osmonds have brought the jungle to the WRX. But detail like this doesn't come cheap.
We spent on this car like over 100 grand.
That includes a radioactive fusion sound system to put the rumble in the jungle.
Never driven on the road. Always towing. Whatever I'll take, I'll just tow it. I got a bad feeling. I don't want to race this car. I never raced it before, I never driven it before on the road.
In its time as a trophy collector, it's never actually been driven anywhere, and nor has Riyadh Sage's Squiz Me. Riyadh's freshly squeezed S-Coupe has collected its own stash of silverware over the years, so to prove they're more than just static displays, we took them to Oran Park. The paintwork literally gets the juice flowing with an overdose of orange. Seats with plenty of lumbar support made from some kind of silicon material and a nice view if you ever get run over. There's a 1.8 litre Lancer GSR motor in here with a standard T28 turbo at 14 psi boost for around 185 kilowatts. Compensating for all that power is a sound system, no doubt playing Vitamin C's latest hit. And for Riyadh, it's also his first try at the track.
As you can see, it's a show car. It's a everyday car. If you're going to show it, you're going to drive it, because you're not going to get anything out of it if you're going to live it at shows every day.
And for such detailed show cars, both Osmonds and Squiz Me took up the challenge to turn in a few laps with much more ease than you'd expect. Though there was the odd glitch.
The rear bar touching the exhaust got melted a bit, because the exhaust get real hot, because the car never been driven, never been started before. People say, oh, you can't drive it, I won't drive it if I was you. People all say, doesn't go. That's everyone's mind, everyone's like, opinions, but as you see now, people are gonna see it on the track.
So, with four-wheel drive versus front-wheel drive, they lined up for a fairer rolling start.
Yeah, it's flicking oranges at the moment. The filter came off as I was taking it down, and I don't know what went in it, so...
All back together, time to show the advantages of four-wheel drive. So what's more important, trophies or racing the car on the track?
Trophy is nothing. Get on the track and enjoy it. Exactly opposite than me. He enjoys the trophies because he gets a lot more than me, so... After this time, that's it. It's over for me, you know what I mean? Just put it at home, look at it every day, and that's it.
If you can survive the taxi ride, one must-see show is the Tokyo Auto Salon. Fork over your 25 Australian dollars and you'll be inside 10 halls amongst 250,000 people.
For the biggest car show in the world, Tokyo Auto Salon in 2001.
Very cold outside.
Questionnaire, which we can't read a damn word.
It must be about 1 degree.
So lots of cars for girls, so let's go shopping.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Among the more interesting sights, we spotted alley demonstrations of how to build a rotary engine, Rally Art's new Lancer wagon, an unrecognisable Toyota MR2, a well-disguised Series 5 RX-7, a very British-looking MX-5, Mazda Speed's RX-7 GTC car, and Mugen's S2000 concept car. Mazda Speed also showed this MX-5 fixed-roof coupe. And if you're after a job as a TV cameraman in Japan, leave your tripod at home. RE Amemiya showed its version of Mazda's AZ1 powered by a 20B Rotary. And Top Secret showed its innovative range of modified street cars, including this impressive Toyota Echo, or Vitz as it's known in Japan. Jun Racing also made a big impression. We'll show you more of its cars later in this video. The huge HKS stand revealed an air-shifted GTR gearbox and its brand new Supra drag car. Skylines were everywhere. Blitz displayed this four-door R34 GTT with the latest Neo engine. With minimal mods, it now makes 350 kilowatts. Signal Auto went for more of a racer theme. Phoenix Power went for other distractions. While Apex went for pure drag machines. Brain damage. Notice how none of the equipment on display is tied down or behind glass. That's because shoplifting doesn't exist in Japan. Everything is left out to touch and put back. And if you must have really wide wheels, don't worry if the tyres don't actually fit, or if the camber makes the car undrivable. And for the latest in bridal accessories, you can't beat a big black band. If a Ferrari Testarossa slammed into the back of a Suzuki van, it might look like this. Honda's Stream minivan was an unlikely but popular choice for modification. This one's the Mugen version. And being Japan, promo girls were everywhere. Any car without a girl was ignored. The Japanese photographers couldn't get enough of them. Most preferring low-angle shots. We had no idea why. Remote-controlled hydraulic suspensions often appear on the most unlikely cars. This mid-engine CRX from Top Fuel picked up the award for Top Car of the show. We also spotted this wild 180SX hatch next to its brother, a 180SX Ute. In the What Were They Thinking hall, we found this 200SX front end fitted to an early 90s Celica with Honda taillights. The Ferrari theme to this convertible Silvia is much more successful. The Mines GTR had its own promo video playing, courtesy of PlayStation. Nissan's Stager wagon is built on a Skyline platform. This Autek version has full GTR running gear and engine. That's a Lexus LS400 under there. The Supra taillights suit the Cadillac hearse, but it's actually a four-door Skyline. And this one's a Skyline too. Yep, and this one. But at the end of the day, it's time to shop.
Have a nice day. Bye.
This is Danny Whittaker's Sigma, and Danny's a proud tow truck driver.
Mainly at first it's the car to get me around like just a normal everyday car, and then seen like a couple of Sigmas with mags and stuff like that, just went from there.
But it's light years away from running the original 2-litre Astron engine. Towie runs a Mazsport 13B turbo Rotary with TO4 turbo, Microtech, blow-off valve and a mixed metalcraft intercooler.
I think everybody has either got a Sigma, had a Sigma, or knows someone that's had a Sigma but never done up.
The interior of Danny's Sigma would surprise the Mitsubishi designers with a bank of autometer gauges, Recaro seats, Momo bits and even a Microtech digital dash. And the boot didn't miss out on being filled either.
I actually have more boot now than I did when I had nothing in there at all, because all the tools would roll to the front of the car, and now he's made it so all the tools just sort of sit on the floor underneath the lid, so it works out good.
Behind the rear seat there's a pair of 15-inch Rockford Fosgate punch subs. So, thanks Sal.
I've never liked door locks. Number one, thieves can get into your car easy with them.
The fuel cap's also been relocated behind the number plate, complete with a motorbike style filler.
We put 98 Magna repeaters on the guards just to modernise it a little bit.
Falcon GT teardrop mirrors are obvious, but you'll have to look closer to see all the stainless Allen head bolts which replace every screw.
I want this forever. Like when I'm 80, if I live that long, I'll be able to stick it on and my car looks pretty good even though I'm not driving it. I just want it to perform well, not overheat, plenty of sideways action, you know, just have some fun, yeah.
Out at Oran Park, the day started well, but ended with engine problems.
I've been going full on to get the pier for today, but that's life.
After so much preparation, Danny was devastated. But 12 months later, Danny's Sigma's back on the track with a new engine and the reason for his previous engine problem.
Wrong spark plugs or faulty spark plugs. After all that, search for everything and then changed them just through chance and had no problem.
While the gauges have now found their way to the exterior, the blackberry wine paint's still as sweet.
Okay, how do you feel about getting in this car?
Very excited.
It was in Fast Fours, the last edition. As I said, mate, just don't blow the engine, don't smash it. And he just laughed and said, no worries.
Try to reach 200 down the straight. See how we go.
So with Mazsport's Bill Nabben behind the wheel, Towie finally gets a chance to prove its 350 horsepower.
Potentially the engine can do like sort of like in the tens, but like the weight of it, like it's almost 1,350 kilos. So it's a fair bit of weight, so like high 11s probably. I've done a 13.5 and was wheel spinning every gear.
Problems?
No, not at all actually. I just want to stay out there all day. The handbrake doesn't work either. I'll try doing smooths just so you like the car's capable of it, drive it the right way.
Okay.
Like anyone can get a car sideways and tyre screeches. Whoa. I'll let him have fun.
So Danny did.
Went up to 250 degrees. I still got to drive it home all the way to Windsor, so I can't wreck it too much.
And his tattoo?
Couldn't make a choice, but I had to because it was part of the dare.
But what if he sells the car?
Do a bit of skin graft and maybe change the plate.
Mention rotaries in Japan and one workshop immediately comes to mind, RE Amemiya. Asami Amemiya-san uses his racing knowledge and experience to create arguably the coolest rotaries in the world. His showpiece is the Greddy 6, a wild mid-engine 20B powered Mazda AZ1. Amemiya always has a stock of modified rotaries on hand, mostly Series 6 RX-7 onwards, but still dealing with early rotaries like Series 4s and 5s. Amemiya's current test bed is this RX-7 GT Racer with a 13B turbo. The stripped interior's main feature is the Australian Motec dash and sequentially shifted gearbox. All that's in the boot is the dry sump reservoir. It's a very effective race car, as shown in this recent option video. So Amemiya produced a road-legal version, built for one of the owners of Chrome Hearts clothing label. The RX-7 uses the race car's wide body mouldings and flares, purpose-designed engine cooling and a slightly less wild 13B with a Greddy single-turbo conversion, 15 psi boost and a large intercooler, all good for around 400 horsepower, with a black and chrome theme throughout. The leather seats are tastefully retrimmed, complete with a matching leather Jurassic mascot. Adjustable suspension works with the race car's front and rear carbon Kevlar aero body parts. Plus the small tail lights and huge rear wing which works great at 200 kilometres an hour. So with a 50 km/h suburban speed limit, it was time to test it out. The Chrome Hearts RX-7 looks every bit the race car for the road, but even on 18-inch wheels, it has all the comfort and drivability of the standard Series 6 RX-7. but it almost looks out of place in traffic. And just like the race car, it's easy to take for a spin. So whether it's road or track, RE Amemiya has Rotary's covered.
Yeah.
Mock it up, man.
For fast fours, sixes and rotaries, New Zealand is a great place to race. The Mazda Rotary Enthusiast Club of New Zealand runs what's become one of the region's hottest small car shows, the New Zealand Fours and Rotary Nationals. Attracting 30,000 people over 2 days, the New Zealand Nationals combines an indoor show with quarter-mile drag racing at Amemiya Raceway near Auckland. And not just drag racing, but burnouts, babes and a vast selection of high-performance cars to satisfy anyone keen enough to visit the nation's best small car show. The feature attraction of the 2000 event was Australia's 2 fastest Pro Street Rotaries, Anthony Rodriguez's Maztec and Archie Kayeski's Mazfix, both running RX-7s capable of 8-second quarters and the first time they've ever raced each other. The Maztec RX-7 is classed as an outlaw style of car and runs a 13B twin rotor with alcohol enrichment, Garrett truck turbo, nitrous option and twin blow-off valves, all run by the Microtech management system.
Back in Melbourne we have quite a few street cars, just daily drivers that run 10Os and into the high 9s, and basically the technology we've put into there has all come out of this car and my previous RX-3.
Mazfix takes a different approach.
It's a Series 6 RX-7, a 1998 model. This one runs a 20B, an automatic gearbox, has a 9-inch diff in it.
The heavier 20B is set further back in the engine bay to help balance the car.
This car's done 8.32 at 163 mile an hour, and it's at the moment it's the current SSBB record holder in Australia, and we hope to better that shortly.
But other cars at the show still attracted their fair share of attention. Tim Wood's Peripheral Port RX-3 scooped a number of awards for his immaculate detailing, but this sort of craftsmanship doesn't come cheap.
I'd say it's somewhere around the $60,000 mark.
Reece McGregor's R33 GTR is currently running low 11s.
I haven't run a 10-second run yet, so that's my main goal to start with, to get into the 10s, and then we'll see what happens from there.
I bought it off an old guy about 90, and yeah, no, I've just kept it original. It's never been resprayed. Still got all the plastic on the doors and stuff from the factory, plastic on the sun visors, plastic on the jack and stuff like that.
And here's Ronnie Lim's 11-second Integra.
It's currently New Zealand's fastest one-wheel drive. Best time to date is 11.5 at 126. It's a street car. All I do, get to the track, just change tyres, and I'm off racing.
Arnie Neon's RX-7 is New Zealand's fastest rotary.
About 0 to 126, 128 mile an hour in about 10 seconds. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah.
Now what do you guys actually do?
All the legal race, not illegal one, legal one.
Please pull off with... Oh, this is trust, sorry.
And drift in the track.
FS import, support it.
Yeah, power.
Not too sticky, so you can get more sideways.
Just something legal on the track, like not on the street.
That's it.
So let's hear it from your crowd. Thank you very much.
But most people come to the New Zealand Nationals to see the drag racing, and with Maztec and Mazfix, the feature race started with a bang.
Firstly, they had to have individual passes before going head to head.
Things didn't begin well for Maztec.
As you can see on the replay, a blown diff looked to have ended the team's day before it even really began. This left Archie and the Mazfix outfit to soldier on through the day with solo passes. Which is exactly what Archie did, with a series of very consistent 8 and 9 second runs. As Archie and the Mazfix RX-7 continued to entertain the crowd throughout the day, the Maztec team were down in the pits working frantically to get their car back on the track.
And 8.9, he's just outside Archie's fastest time so far today of 8.85.
But the day's most destructive moment didn't happen during racing. It was the bad Rotor-sponsored car wrecking held on the main strip. These boys took to a very attractive show car with sledgehammers and just about anything else they could get hold of. Strange thing is, these guys look like they've had plenty of practice. So next time an official says, "Don't park there," you damn well take notice.
Well, how do you feel now?
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah?
That was quite good.
Good workout?
Yeah, mint.
And how do you feel about the car now?
Oh, it's quite mint. Look at it.
After the clean-up, it was back to the racing eliminations.
Arnie Nyan had the RX-7 Batmobile absolutely flying, setting the fastest time of the day with an 11.006 at 126 miles per hour, which is pretty damn close to a 10-second run. Reese McGregor had the big 6-cylinder Skyline pumping, setting second fastest time of the day, an 11.258 at a staggering 127 miles an hour. Once again leading the front-wheel drive charge was Ronnie Lynn, who cut an 11.323 time to finish third overall. But for a red light in the semi, Ronnie was looking good to win the event.
And then the grudge race finally happened. An early launch and red light ensured the race to the line was Maztec's, but he still managed to go fractionally quicker than Mazfix anyway.
In the end, it was Anthony Rodriguez by a whisker.
The burnouts marked the end of the event, and everyone finished on a high. Godzilla, Nissan Skyline GTR, four-wheel drive, twin turbos and Euro-smashing performance. Who wouldn't want one? Trouble is, they're rather expensive, so the next best thing is a Skyline GTST, and we're going to prove it. In R33 form, a GTST like this 95 model isn't that much less equipped than the GTR. For a start, it's half the price at around 30 grand, and with 187 kilowatts, that's only about 10% less power. With rear drive only, it's 140 kilos lighter, surprisingly resulting in a better power to weight ratio than the GTR. So we've gathered together 5 examples in different tune to see not only how the standard model fares, but how much better it can be made. So let's look at the standard car first. The engine is the RB25 DET. That is, an RB series engine, 2.5 litre, double overhead cam, EFI and single turbo. The ceramic turbo runs 10 psi boost to a front-mounted air-to-air intercooler, but a rather small one, and the standard exhaust is 2¼ press-bent mild steel. To compare modifications, we enlisted the help of advanced driving instructor Warren Luff. The standard car's only performance change was a set of 17-inch work wheels and low-profile tyres, which increase grip but don't really alter handling characteristics.
It's actually quite good. You feel there is a little bit of turbo lag there, but once it does get up and moving, it really sort of grabs your attention. When you get on the power, it really wants to bring the bum end of the car around. It feels a bit soft in the rear suspension, like it could sort of do with a bit of suspension work in the rear end. And also you can feel the diff tends to sort of open up a bit and wants to get a lot of wheel spin on that inside wheel.
This Burgundy GTST is owned by Paul, a customer of BD4's, and represents our first step up the performance ladder. It runs the standard turbo, but with 12 psi boost.
He's removed the standard airbox, fitted an aftermarket K&N air filter, and put a partition around it, which is taking cold air in from a tube down inside the inner guard.
There's a larger front-mounted intercooler and a free-flowing 3-inch mandrel bent exhaust from the turbo back to the cap, resonator and twin-tip rear muffler. This was the only car with a modified suspension, a full white line package with sway bars, shocks, springs and adjustable camber.
No, this is very nice. It's, the work they've done on the suspension has certainly been worth it because it makes the car just so much more drivable. It's certainly got a little bit more mid to top end power because the good thing is you're carrying a lot more corner speed the whole way through, and that translates to speed down the straight as well.
With a similarly modified turbo, boost and exhaust, but still the standard suspension, Rick Shaw's own car has one more simple but significant mod.
The Apexy computer, which is a direct replacement computer, plugs into the factory loom where the factory computer was, and that's controlled by a handset, and it's fully adjustable, so again we can control the fuel and ignition maps. The standard airbox has been retained for cold air induction to take cooler air in rather than the warmer air that's in the engine bay.
Well, this car has mega power but absolutely no grip. The moment you get on the power in this thing, all it wants to do is swap ends on you. Spend more time looking out the side window than you do the front window.
To go any further means upsizing the turbo itself, and that's exactly what the unique Autosports car has. It's a ball-bearing apexy turbo about the size of a T3 T4, runs 18 psi boost through a front mount intercooler with an external wastegate but stock ECU. This car had only just arrived from Japan and hadn't yet been tuned here. John from Unique took Warren for a ride.
Seems to have a fair bit of lag on the turbo compared...
Oh, yeah, big. It's not tuned properly, plus it's only got a standard computer in it with a big turbo. That roars the external wastegate. That's just dumping to atmosphere.
Once it gets going, it certainly has the power. It's that lag in the beginning that needs to be addressed in it, that's all.
Yeah, and a aftermarket computer would certainly...
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it makes you wonder why someone's fitted such a big turbo without having an aftermarket computer. It seems like it's certainly got the potential. With a bit more work, you could really get the thing going hard.
Lastly, our most modified GTS-T is owned by PD's Car Audio. Along with similar mods to the previous Skylines, it has a T3 T4 turbo running 15 psi boost, HKS intercooler and an Autronic EFI system which uses a map sensor to eliminate the potentially restrictive airflow meter.
It's certainly got some power. Geez, the brakes don't seem to work too well.
Yeah, I think
it certainly doesn't have the grip of the other cars. You can feel it really wants to snap the arse end out super quick.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to get all that power down to the ground, it's certainly it's a mission.
But it did have one minor problem, a faulty plug cutting the ignition. So with quite an unexpected difference in lap times, 0 to 100 km/h acceleration was our next test. The standard car put down the time to beat of 6.17 seconds, meeting the factory quote to the 10th. Rick Shaw's car was 0.2 quicker. Unique's lack of tune meant it only equalled Rick Shaw's time. We'll tell you the BD4's car's time in a moment. PD's was next. Another 0.3, while the big surprise was the BD4's car. Good grip with consistently quick launches sat at fractionally quicker than even the more modified PD's car. In part 2 of this story, in the next video, we put all 5 cars on the dyno and demonstrate why big turbos and peak power don't always result in quicker cars. No trip to Tokyo is complete without a visit to Super Autobacs, the huge automotive retailer. And maybe you'll run into other articulate Australians. So we checked out the enormous variety of performance gear you just don't see back home. While some items were fairly obvious, we discovered a clear indicator lens is actually a clear winker. This is not what you think it is, but one of many crystal gear knobs amongst an enormous gear knob range. Many items caught our eye, from chromed wiper arms to plug-in neon ashtrays. More pedals than a Millipede's push bike, including this stunning hibiscus blossom design. Strut braces, suspension components for any car. Performance exhausts. Air filters in every brand and style. Heaps of intercoolers. Turbos, replacement ECUs, STI instrument faces, Lexus badges for every model Toyota, steering wheel horn buttons, more gauges than, well, a gauge factory. Headlight globes, radar detectors, a huge range of dash-mounted phone holders, seat covers for the discerning cab driver, tasteful steering wheel covers, and matching rearview mirror covers. Then there was the range of mobile phone areas, dolphins that unlock your car when you touch their nose to the lock. And the Japanese must have very smelly cars, as we found an entire aisle of just air fresheners. Always wanted a light show in your car? Just plug in this lot and the optional lighting mixer for a fabulous disco mobile. And we got lost among all the satellite navigation systems. As for in-car entertainment, there was no shortage of brands or million-yen prices. But for true entertainment, you just can't beat a horn tester.
Everybody up there, good luck, come down. We want to see those cars running.
America's fastest imports have a home at Pomona Raceway for the year's premier drag racing event, the West Coast Nationals. And no US show would be complete without Californian promo girls.
Working our way into Australian magazine.
From Pomona, California. We're here at West Coast Nationals. And we're missing you already. Bye.
Okay, this is Christina from Load. I hope you guys got what you needed.
Hondas are hugely popular. While this B&M Civic has been converted to rear drive with a tubbed rear end, Dave Hickman's silver glitter Civic runs a snow shovel front end feeding into a turbo 1.6 and front wheel drive. Signal Auto's chop-top EK4 Civic ran a top qualifying 10.0 quarter with its turbo and nitrous VTEC engine. The top names like Abel Ibarra, Adam Sarawatari and his A&L Racing RX-7 and Ed Bergenholt's CRX were all at the Nats. Ed's CRX was the first full-bodied front drive into the nines, the first to fit wheelie bars, and remains one of the leaders in the import racing scene. Ed exercises daily with intercooler hoses.
We've done a number of things to make the car run single-digit numbers, one of which include a number of STR products. The STR intake manifold, Air Max intake manifold, dual apex twin-chambered blow-off valves to help keep the spool up. Hotshot exhaust manifold, it's been specially custom-made for us and helps out our Fast Track's T04E Turbo. Run us up to 27 pounds of boost. Some STR cam gears to help us tune in the car a little bit. As far as our head, it's all done by Bergenholtz Racing. We have competition valves, springs, cams. Our intercooling is all taken care of by Apex Integration. And this is the Skyline GTR core. We've adapted it to fit on the CRX, and so far it's given us the volume we need and cools the charge to sub 100 temperatures. 25-inch slicks. Our traction bar in the back actually adds extra leverage. It's actually pretty simple physics. It's extra leverage, and it keeps the weight transfer from going to the back too much. So it's actually right when the wheelie bars hit the ground, they plant the front wheels to the ground, causing an increased traction, making our gears last longer, and keeps the wheels from breaking loose.
We asked Team Bergenholtz what was their aim for the day.
9 would be cool.
While Abel's RX-7 was on display, his 8-second R100 was giving its parachute a hard workout. The 13B Turbo has run into the 7s previously, but gearing problems today would result in mid-8s.
A bad run, but it's still not running good. I don't know why. At Palmdale 2 weeks ago with the boost real low, I ran an 820. It should be at least in the 80, 81 range. I don't know what's wrong.
Australian Motec fuel injection and data logging allows Abel to diagnose faults and analyse individual quarter-mile runs. Agent Adam Sarawatari got his RX-7 into the 9s. Up against Adam was Dennis Marquez's early rear-drive Toyota Starlet.
The wall, just like a fight, yo, to get away from that. Because I was like almost perpendicular to the track at one time, and I saw the wall like, yo, and I tried to pull it away, and it still kept going. I put it back and pull it back away again, and I just heard when it.
Starlet body. We have a 3/4 tube chassis running a Mark Williams center section on a 9-inch Ford rear end with a ladder bar, coilover, rear suspension. The motor is a 13V rotary motor with a 270 turbine-X turbocharger and a spherical water-to-air intercooler. We're running an electromotive fuel and ignition Tech 2 unit. Very mild Ford with a polish to it, nothing drastic, pretty much close to stock specs on that. This is our fuel cell, so it's 5 gallons of fuel. We run C16 racing fuel. This is our what we call a reserve tank. We run 2 Holly Blue electric pumps from here to this. This runs at 14 pounds.
Marcos Acosta's Unos 30X is called an MX3 in the US, but that's where the similarity ends. Marcos runs a full tube frame with tub rear end and Pro Stock style interior with G-force gearbox. The engine's not a 1.8 litre V6, but a triple rotor 20B with single turbo and just under 600 horsepower at the wheels for a best ET of 9.00. Notice this reinforcing brace for the intercooler, which prevents the hose from blowing off under boost, and the blow-off valve mounted directly to the intercooler tank. After qualifying, the West Coast Nationals moved into sudden death eliminations. Ray Lockhead's RX-7 was the car to beat in the Outlaw class, top qualifying with a 9.26 and an early round 1 win. Raul Acevedo's RX-7 blew oil out of his peripheral port 12A in qualifying. He'd managed a 10.6 earlier, and a rebuild in the pits got him back out for eliminations. Ed Bergenholtz was on the hunt for that 9-second pass in the quick 16 class.
We just came out here to run the times. It's just nice to interact with everybody. Maybe we can beat our personal best in 978. We'll see.
All right, great.
It looks like I'm getting through the gear, so I'm doing something right. So we'll see what happens.
He was beaten, though, in the quarterfinals by Dave Hickman.
I shifted, my shift points were all off, and I just ended up mid-shifting twice.
Yeah.
Second and third, so I mean, that's racing. What can you say? We'll be back.
5/10ths faster in qualifying, Jojo Calos's white Civic won against Jason Whitfeld, who red-lighted. Meanwhile, Lisa Kubo's 10.4-second blue Civic had the speed to beat James West, but also red-lighted. Travis T's gearbox problems handed a win to Tony Fuchs's Integra. But Tony wouldn't hold off Kazu Yamaguchi's Civic, which ran 4/10ths faster than his qualifier. James West fell short of his best, but still fought off Arkita to get into the semi-finals. In the normally aspirated class, 11.6 was the time to beat. Roger Sanko's orange CRX here taking the win. The street class was dominated by Christian Rado's street-tired Supra with a best of 10.7, easily beating Scott Gray's four-wheel drive Eclipse with 12.3 in the final. In the final of the Quick 16, Dave Hickman's shovel was only good enough to scoop the runners-up trophy, with Lanny Heger the class winner. Dennis Marquez's solo run didn't get any better.
It shook terribly.
Having to face Craig Paisley's Supra didn't help. The TRD car yet to be fully sorted. Though each suffered problems, Paisley took the win.
tire was shaking so much.
Too much tire shake here.
It was like the car was going to fall apart. Then the load dropped off the transmission and then knocked into neutral.
Yesterday, it wasn't getting that good of a traction. That's why I kept on turning down the boost. So I thought I'd try it today with the nitrous, but it's hopeless.
Didn't work.
No, it's hopeless.
So what's next?
Run it on the motor and I'll just go as fast as it goes.
But not even Marcos could hold off the event's fastest car, the big block 260Z of Kevin King. In the final, Abel ran his day's best ET, but so did King, causing somewhat of an upset.
As far as we're concerned, it's already been a complete success. We made it to the finals, and that's more than we could ever ask for.
The outlaw final came down to RX-7 versus Supra. Adam getting the jump and running a 9-second ET to take the $2,000 prize.
My team did it all. They are the best.
This is what racing is really about, is the interaction with the other teams and working with an international type of crowd. This is what makes it fun. So that's the way we are looking at it, and we'll be back.
Travelling by taxi in Tokyo is very different to most other cities in the world. Our driver, like others, doesn't carry a street directory, so it's essential to keep stopping all the time to ask directions from those who do. It's also essential to have the address with you written in Japanese. As many streets are not named and street numbers are not always sequential, asking directions is seen as quite normal. But we would have expected a police station to know where the place was.
Been in a taxi for about 45 minutes looking for Top Secret and stopped 4 times looking for directions, still looking. We're like the new boy in jail at the moment. We're screwed.
Meanwhile, the meter keeps running.
Yes? No? No?
On this trip, we were heading to well-known tuning shop Top Secret. Well-known everywhere but Tokyo, that is.
Closed.
But eventually, even our driver had had enough.
So an hour and a half for what should take about a half-hour trip. We've left with a 7,800 yen bill. That's about, just quickly, about $110. And we didn't find the place, so we're plunged into darkness. No photo shoot, going back to Tokyo. Job well done, and was at ATM.
Who Who remembers the game Frogger? Basically a little green frog trying to get across a busy road and river. Hours of fun in the 80s, but maybe a little lame by today's standards. But Frogger's all grown up. Grant Bradshaw's Mazda 1300 wagon is a little quicker than our four-legged amphibian. A Pack Performance Rotary, a 12A if anyone asks, produces about 400 horsepower through a Corona 4-speed box and 9-inch diff. The 3-inch exhaust system alone would deafen a few crickets. And the interior is the neatest lily pad this side of Kermit and Miss Piggy's penthouse. But even frogs hop around in circles sometimes. Easy to get dizzy when you're doing this. So how quick could Frogger get down this road? We'll use one of the previous Skylines as a comparison. Our Skyline driver was a bit eager at the start. But Frogger still caught him.
Bogged down a little bit then on the start because I try it wouldn't spin, so I might leave a little bit more revs, see how we go.
And this is how it looked from Grant's point of view.
It spins a fair bit, and the car's starting to warm up a little bit, but it's going very well. It's the first time I've sort of actually been able to give it a run.
Back in Japan, our next stop was the workshop of Jun. That is, after another kamikaze death ride in Japanese traffic.
Experience.
About an hour out of Tokyo City, Jun is one of Japan's hardcore performance tuners. One of Jun's flagships is the S15 Nissan Silvia, somewhat unfortunately dubbed Hyper Lemon. It's built to race, with air ducting, performance engine and aero parts, competition gauging, a stripped-out purpose-built interior with plenty of carbon fibre and a 6-speed gearbox. But we were here to see two other cars. In the yellow corner, Jun's Super Lemon Evo 5 Lancer. In white, Jun's STI WRX Impreza Type RA. Fresh from the Subaru factory with less than 1,000 Ks, but still plenty of performance gear. The 2-litre Mitsubishi has been bored and stroked to 2.2 litres, runs a Greddy turbo boosting at 28 psi and developing near 440 kilowatts. While a little tamer, the Subaru's 2-litre still packs a punch with a larger truss turbo, front-mounted intercooler and around 270 kilowatts. While the STI strut brace is standard, the 6-way adjustable shocks have been fitted by Jun. The RA spec interior means few frills. While there's no radio, air conditioning or power windows, there are grippy bucket seats, 6-speed gearbox, intercooler water spray and a rally-style roof vent. Jun simply added the boost gauge and controller. The Evo's similarly modified with a few more gauges pushing the air conditioning panel over to the airbag cover, and both cars get their grip from sticky 17-inch Yokohama Advan racing tyres. But these cars were built for speed. So after our $11 tolls were paid, it was on to a Tokyo highway. The Evo's day-glow yellow paintwork is obvious, but less so is the front bumper. Jun used a Tommy Mackinnon Evo 6.5 bumper and a GT rear wing to complement. But with 500 horsepower, it kind of makes a joke of the 90 km speed limits. The WRX's body is far from stock either, with a new front bumper and also the GT rear wing. Certainly doesn't seem to harm its acceleration, with Jun's test pilots driving. They were all too happy to test out the 180 km/h speedos. Back in suburbia, after some discussions about shadow puppets, the guys were off again. At the Jun workshop, there were heaps of high-performance cars. Supras are commonplace, less so NSXs and Mavic Mirages. This Toyota Crown Mark II runs a twin-turbo 6, while someone who thought they were Tommy Mäkinen obviously wasn't. Something we hadn't seen before was a genuine first-generation Skyline GTR, obviously far from finished. Later model GTRs were everywhere, as was this DR30 Skyline. Alongside this, a much better original GTR from the late 60s, the on-track arch-enemy of the RX-3. This one about 70% complete and one of Jun's long-term projects. And yes, this huge heater proves even at lunchtime it's extremely cold, with last night's snow still around at midday. So what does the Jun boss drive? A powerful Prelude? A modified GTR? No. This fabulous Nissan Gloria. Obviously Cedric's were sold out. Welcome back to Wakefield Park for another unique Autosports open track day, attracting all sorts of performance cars. From import Mazdas to old and new Datsuns, MR2 turbos, Lancers, Supras, WRXs, and basically a run what you brung fun for all day. One neat RX-7 was this personal import Series 6 with 18-inch wheels, Microtech computer and a monster Turbonetics turbo. Just as impressive was this white Series 4 RX-7 with a similar intercooler and TO4 turbo. Built by Mazsport, it's good for 400 horsepower at the wheels. So we sent him to the shops to get lunch. Back on the track, we noticed this Japanese import Nissan Bluebird SSS. A version never sold in Australia. With its factory-fitted SR20 turbo engine, four-wheel drive running gear and front-mount intercooler, it'll scare a few Nissan Silvias. Ben Ellis's very neat Datsun 240Z runs a 2.5-litre Toyota engine from the twin-turbo Sora, which is a cheaper and just as effective alternative to a Nissan GTR engine. This MX-5 runs a tidy turbo conversion from BD4s with 17-inch wheels and just enough oversteer to make it fun. Though some do have a little more fun than others. The driver of this 200SX needs to spend more time practicing corners. Uh-oh, here comes another corner. And just because you're driving a stock standard Toyota Starlet doesn't mean you can't chuck it around a bit. This one's the three-wheel drive version. Adelaide's Japanese motorsport brought its Drift Sylvias to Goulburn for a demonstration of oversteer and the subtle art of drifting, with purpose-built suspension, lots of negative camber, sway bars, adjustable coilovers and an almost unnoticeable exhaust tip.
Thought I'd go the opposite. Everyone's got a dump. What about an erection?
Wheel spaces also give it a fat track.
Expecting to do some crazy, stupid things. It was impounded in Adelaide for a month by the police. Because I was doing some naughty things on the road. They took it and they didn't want to give it back, but they had to in the end.
Now, if you're wondering what the camera hanging off the front of the car has been doing, check this out.
This is the fun part, mate.
As Denzo discovered, cars don't last too long when driven like this. This one overheated, but Denzo had a spare.
Jump in this car and we'll do some more.
Okay. The matte black paint wasn't as attractive, but it still drifted fine. So what makes a good drift car?
Hard suspension, enough power, limited slip diff, right steering setup, good working handbrake, and you've got to be pretty thick, and you've got to like abusing cars, especially other people's.
Sydney's Small Car Sunday 2000 was the venue for the draw of the Serious Performance HKS competition.
And the winner is
Jonathan Godfrey of Castle Hill.
So Jonathan took his Lancer GSR to BD4s to collect his prize.
Congratulations, Jonathan. On behalf of BD4s, HKS and Serious Performance, you've won $1,000 worth of HKS gear.
Thank you, Serious Performance, BD4s and HKS.
Jonathan chose an HKS Hyper exhaust system with the option for shoulder mounting. Travelling by train in Japan has many advantages, but room to move is not one of them. So for $200 a day, we rented a car. The Toyota Prius is a hybrid engined vehicle with both petrol and electric motors. The electric motor is recharged by braking. It drives quite normally, but it's eerily quiet, particularly when you stop at lights and the petrol engine shuts down. In current Toyota fashion, it boasts a symmetrical central dashboard with an LCD screen displaying the directions of charge to each component. Parking's always a problem in crowded Tokyo, and you soon notice a few unique solutions for the lack of space. That evening, we planned to visit the illegal drags, but first we had to make sense of the inbuilt satellite navigation system.
One of the most sophisticated GPS systems in the world, and it's totally Japanese domestic only. Old-fashioned map.
An hour later, we felt confident enough to try it alone.
It's talking now? Okay.
Lance was the designated driver.
Okay, traffic lights. Okay.
For the first 20 minutes, everything seemed fine.
Oh, he's got his lights on, he's following us.
No U-turn を確認してください、目で。
Sorry.
ね、そうです。気をつけて。日本英語、まあイングリッシュリトルしかないから、気をつけて言ってください。ね。気をつけて、言ってください。気をつけて言ってください。お帰り、go home.
Oh, yeah, hi. Yeah, hi. We go home.
Yeah, go home. 新宿。
新宿.
Yeah. 気をつけて。
Yeah. Hi. Thank you.
気をつけて。
Thank you. ありがとうございます。
はい、気をつけて。
Make sure we keep to the speed limit. I don't know the speed limit.
So, tracked by our personal escort, we headed back to the hotel. The drags would have to wait for another night. Take one standard Suzuki Swift. Add the imagination of one Robbie Habib. The result? Ah, baby! Any man with the courage to wear a nappy in front of 30,000 people must be a little crazy, and Robbie is certainly one colourful character. Just like his Suzuki Cultus, which is coated with fiberglass and bespoiled from bumper to wheelie bar in advanced airbrush graphics. There isn't one theme to our baby, there's about 5, with girls, snakes, jungles and dragons all airbrushed in. So far, it's picked up almost 50 trophies in 2 years.
The truly deserving winner of this award this weekend is Robbie Habib. And again, Robbie Habib.
So, why is it called Our Baby?
I had a good time with one of these chicks one day, and she screamed Our Baby, so I go, that sounds alright, so I get on and play Our Baby.
The engine's still a 1.3 litre, but now with a TO4 turbo and 15 pounds of boost producing 140 horsepower at the front wheels. The 8-nozzle 600 horsepower nitrous kit is not yet connected.
No one's crazy enough to put a V8 kit on a 4-cylinder. And I'm too scared to wire it up in case I blow my engine.
The parachute and wheelie bar on a street car always attract attention.
People laugh at me, they go, wheelie bars, it's not going to launch back, you know, it's just there so it doesn't wheel spin in the front. I built it to have fun, so let's go out and give it to it. See if it can really scream Our Baby. I love these guys.
Never driven, let alone raced, Our Baby is ready to make its debut at Oran Park.
Where am I going to stop now? I don't even know. That. Oops, I'm swearing I shouldn't swear.
But Our Baby's first run didn't start well.
Oh, here's something. What is this making for, man? My intercooler pipe came off, no boost. Cooler pipe came right off the turbo.
So after a quick fix, he was back out.
Came off again. Why is it coming off for, man? No boost. Intercooler pipe came off.
Showing more confidence after the latest repair, though still forgetting his seatbelt, Robbie took to the full circuit this time.
Which way is this gonna go? Yeah. I'm like a mad.
The peaceful sound of the wheelie bars turning corners, the only intrusion.
Handle's mad, mate. That's what I love. I think it came off again. Hey, you better tight, man. I'm telling you, watch what I'm going to take. I'm going to cut my radiator hose and use. Do I have to?
So after another calm and quiet repair, it was time for some drags.
This standard GA Suzuki Swift is identical to the way our baby first began. So we've lined them up today for a drag. But we thought, just to be fair, we'd give our baby a little bit of a handicap. He's way back there.
But first, we discovered the Swift's secret weapon.
It's the uni filter connected to the 998cc 3-cylinder motor. Awesome bit of gear.
What are you doing there? Fixing it.
Come on, baby. Let's see what you made out of.
What do you think is the secret of your performance?
Just the gear changes, really. So, and the unifilter, of course. Better air induction, so you know, a lot better. Yeah.
So we lined up a different 1.3 litre turbo front wheel drive. With our baby's boost problems continuing, Robbie was never going to see his car's full potential, but he was still happy.
Yay! This is a bullet! Doing alright.
What's that?
It shocked me.
Nick Vasiliati's Starlet GT is obviously no stocker. With a Garrett GT 25 ball bearing turbo, variable boost and front-mounted intercooler producing 237 horsepower at the front wheels. He's run a 12.2 second quarter mile on slicks, making it Australia's third fastest front-wheel drive. After a couple of laps of Oran Park, Rod Turnbull took over to find out how capable the Starlet really was.
Well, Nick's got himself quite a tidy little car here. It's got fantastic drivability at 11 pounds of boost, but when you push the go button and take it up to 15, it wants to crack into massive wheel spin through the corner, so it gets a lot of plough sort of understeer. But it's quite drivable, even though it does come on boost at about 4.5, 5 grand. It's quite progressive, so it doesn't sort of snap into massive wheel spins. So the big thing we noticed is that the car's just completely under braked, particularly at 15 pound boost. It just ran out of brakes after 2 laps down the end of the straight.
Meanwhile, others were ready to take Robbie on. First up was a stock standard Mazda Familia GTX, a 1.8 litre turbo with full-time 4-wheel drive.
He does have more power, but it's not a very long run here, so we'll see what happens.
Unfortunately, Robbie's intercooler hose blew off again.
I think something happened to his car. Maybe he was just embarrassed by my top speed.
So with the hose reattached, we tried again.
Maybe we'll stay on this time.
A win to the 4-wheel drive Mazda, but a longer track may have seen our baby take the lead. And then a couple of big guns arrived. But with our baby being repaired, they tried the Starlet instead. So with front-wheel drives out of the way, they were alone. A 1.8 litre 180SX and a 2-litre R32 Skyline GTST. So with our baby still in the pits, the Nissans had the tractor themselves and used it. Meanwhile, Robbie had had enough of his constant hose problems.
I don't give a f*** when it blows my engine. I don't want to blow my car because I do love it. I've stripped it and built it 4 times. I spent about close, just a bit, 200,000. Could have done something better, but I really didn't mind. I don't mind losing the money on it because I love it.
But he's not quite finished with it yet.
13B supercharged. Re-tubbed out. I really want to see something hanging out the bonnet. Just to people off. Drive in, drive out, full package, everything, hoping to do like high 9s, low 10s, should cost me about 60 G's all up, finished. It will be there for my son. That's where that car's going to go.
Well, with such a small intercooler, the efficiency of keeping the intake air temperatures down just doesn't work at house, and it's no bloody good. It's a much more efficient way of producing, controlling the on the stick, as opposed to the standard intercooler. Sorry, standard.
But we did get the single turbo RB. We did get the single turbo
How is this better than the one you've got?
It's quite shiny.
What?
Train station. Oops, we have a problem.